Hey everyone, Jamal here, and thank you for joining me for another Mindful Minutes. Today we'll be reading a paragraph from my book, Transformational Mindfulness, and we'll do an experience, one of the activities in the book to go with that. All right, let's get started. Welcome to JA Advisory. Master yourself, master the universe. So today we'll actually start with the experience, and today that will be mindful breathing. So I'm just going to read it straight from the book. Mindful breathing is great because you can practice it anywhere. Now that we know how to breathe properly, we can breathe with a little more awareness. We can practice mindful breathing just about any time and any place. You can practice while sitting, standing, in a group, by yourself, at school, at work, or at home. As long as you're safe, you can try mindful breathing with other activities like cooking or driving. So I guess before we get started, I do want to make sure everyone knows the abdominal breath. So as we breathe in through the nose, you just want to feel the air move in, and we want our belly to expand because that's the flexible part where our lungs actually expand and fill with air. And when our belly comes back in, we squeeze the old air out. And that's a lot more efficient than a general chest breath because your belly and your diaphragm, that actually pulls down and your belly expands. Your ribs don't really expand in the same way when you breathe. So you get a lot more oxygen per breath. I mean, it's why we breathe. We can't go very long without oxygen, right? So that's the abdominal breath. And that's the proper way to breathe. I'll give you a few seconds to practice that. And ideally, all the breathing is done through the nose, unless we're doing some kind of special breath. I'll let you know if we're breathing out of the mouth. So sit or stand comfortably with your back straight. Eyes may be open or closed. Take 3 deep abdominal breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then breathe normally through the nose, all breathing through the nose. Let the breath happen naturally without trying to control it. Observe the breath. Become aware of every aspect. Just watch it happen. Notice the air moving in through the nostrils, the air going through the windpipe and the lungs expanding. Notice the lungs contracting and the air as it exits the lungs and it goes through the nose. And just watch the breath happen on its own. That's the great thing about the breath. It's always happening, whether we're thinking about it or not. So you can just watch the natural rhythm of the breath. We can be mindful of all the movements that we feel as we breathe. Be mindful of the movement of air and the movement throughout our body. The movement in the belly, in the chest, in the shoulders, if there is any. If your eyes are closed, let's blink them open. And that is our mindful breathing exercise. So my questions for you are, does mindful breathing feel any different than your average breath? Do you feel different after or while practicing mindful breathing? Did you notice any other changes in your body or any other shifts in mood? Were you able to focus on your breath? And did you find difficulty during any part of that activity? Just some things to reflect on. And that's a perfect way to start our paragraph. We're going to read a little bit from chapter 4. That's Taming the Mind. And this is an important one because here I talk about components of any mindfulness practice. So they are awareness, intention, and breath. So we'll talk about the breath. The breath is the closest connection between our conscious motor controls and central nervous system. By controlling the breath and slowing it down, we can also slow down the impulses of our mind that often take us out of the present moment. Slowing down allows us to be present and aware. It also makes it easier to direct our intention. Directing awareness to the breath also brings us to the present moment because the breath is something that's constant. Whether we are thinking about it or not, the breath is a present action. After noticing the breath, we can use it to be present and to center ourselves. The proper and natural way to breathe is called abdominal breathing. As the name suggests, it is breathing from the abdomen, also known as diaphragmatic breathing. It's how we breathe as babies and when we are children, before stress and tension tend to take a hold in our lives. Movement of the diaphragm and expansion of the abdomen allow for the lungs to fill with air and provide us with the optimal flow of oxygen. Stress and bodily tension reduce these muscle movements, causing many people to adopt a shallow chest breath. This chest breathing provides the brain and body with less oxygen. As I mentioned before, the ribs don't expand as much as the abdomen to make space for air in the lungs. And this adds to our stress and tension. So as we're breathing, we're actually getting more stressful. This is one of the most subtle yet crippling positive feedback loops that most people experience in their lives. This lack of oxygen becomes the cause of stress and makes stress harder to manage. With less oxygen, the brain is less efficient and the body is more susceptible to disease. That's right, if we don't have enough oxygen, we're going to be more prone to disease. Our immune system is weaker, it doesn't have enough energy. Our body doesn't have enough energy. This is a side note from yours truly. I like to compare breathing to diet. It's another thing that we consume for vital nutrients, oxygen. But when we compare it to eating or staying hydrated, or almost anything for that matter, breathing is paramount to survival. We can go possibly weeks without food if we have water, and we can survive at least a few days without water. But how long can we go without breathing? Only a few minutes at most. Practicing healthy breathing is a great habit that everyone should pay attention to. The diet of breath is important. So thanks for joining me in today's Mindful Minutes. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Oh, and if you like this activity, remember to check out the book, Transformational Mindfulness, your handbook for self-mastery, filled with lots of information about how the brain works, what makes us tick, and with activities that we can use. So it's very practical, and there's some games in the back as well. Get the book.